Last week was an event for the history books. It was called KCD FanFest, and as I said in my tweet, it was one of the most incredible experiences I've ever had. Amazing people, tons of fun, good food and drink, and of course, KCD galore. I'll have a video up soon on my experience and the new DLC, which I will have up soon. I just had Jacob send it off to my manager for review and everything, so we'll have that up soon. But basically what happened is that they hosted an event in Malashov, Fort Malashov, which is in the game, and you'll probably recognize it as a place where you, I guess no spoilers, I probably shouldn't do spoilers, where you basically go to save somebody important. Figure that out. And as we see, it's just a gorgeous area. It's about an hour and 20-minute drive outside of Prague to like the northeast. But when you get there, it's just, you're transported back in time. It's crazy. Now, I believe it's like a brewery or a distillery. They make a bunch of like schnapps and stuff like that. Very appropriate. But they had blacksmithing. They had like a chance to try bow and arrows. They had crossbows. They had a crazy number of people cosplaying and dressed up in historical attire. It's crazy. Sotobi! This is Sotobi, as I call him, Sotobi. He runs like all of the community focused stuff for all of Warhorse.
We have horses, we have crossbow shooting, alchemy, there's a blacksmith here, we even have
your husband? I wish, dude. Sir Toby's awesome.
Ignatius the sheep here. It's crazy.
They had 2,500 people. 2,500.
You know, we expected community to come, but seeing the love and the energy they share is really amazing. They have amazing outfits, their cosplayers are here. Really lucky to have a community like that.
A lot of cute dogs.
This event is a fan fest, so it's for the fans, from the devs for the fans. It's our way to thank you for being with us, for sharing the love, because without the fans, without the community, we as devs and KCD would have never existed, not only the game, but having a great event to share the love.
And keep your eyes out, see if you can spot me. And don't worry, I've got a lot of videos I'm gonna show you, don't worry. Don't worry. Isn't that great? That's awesome. You see it? There! Yeah, it's that meme of Leonardo DiCaprio. There. So, really cool. But I'm gonna show you some nitty-gritty behind the scenes stuff because I actually went and it was amazing. So for one, I'm just gonna go chronologically through it. I got off the plane at LAX. Not really. I hopped on a plane in Denver, went to JFK, and then went from JFK to Prague directly. It was quite cool to be able to go directly, especially because in the past I've had to go through Frankfurt when going to Europe. But we flew over, I believe this was like right over as we're approaching Prague. It was pretty gorgeous. And then we hopped in the car because basically I landed at about 9:45 a.m. and had to go straight to the venue. And so we hopped in an Uber and just went straight there. And as we're driving through Prague, I mean, it's just a gorgeous, gorgeous city. You see these massive cathedrals in the distance. Like, I want you to just bear in mind, where I'm from, we have like a Taco Bell. We have a Jimmy John's. We have a Subway that people keep getting arrested out of. I'm pretty sure there's something not legal going on, but like we have nothing like this. This is Fort Malashov, and it's just like ridiculous to be in this spot that we've seen in the game that we've gone to, and it's just there. You know, it was really, really crazy. But this is from one of the vantage points overlooking the little complex that they have. And as you can see, there's just a bunch of people cosplaying, dressed up. Down here, this huge crowd in the distance, this was when we first got there, all people, like all of this was filled in. And it's because they were doing a dice tournament. And so you'd play dice just like in the game, and then you would try to beat each other. You climb up the ranks of the ladder or whatever, and then I don't know what the prize was if you won, but you'd win a prize. This is also, they had things like lock picking, so they had an actual puzzle box where you could lock pick it, and if you got it open, then you got like a piece of an answer key that if you completed all these other activities, you could eventually get like a prize, which was kind of fun. I did ride a horse. So the very lovely people that were helping us ride the horses and just pulling them for us as we sat on them, didn't speak great English, but she told me that this horse's name was Black. I was like, really? Because the horse is not black. And she said when he was a foal or a baby, he was black, and so they called him Black. And then as it grew up, it changed colors, and but it's still named Black, which I just thought was kind of a cute little detail and doodad. Luality up there on her horse as well. It just stopped moving. Luality's so funny. The next clip, there's, I think I yelled out, "I'm beating you!" Like we were racing.
I'm beating you.
Well, it's not a competition, Luke.
Well, I'm winning.
I'm winning it. I don't know why it's struggling so much. Oh, she got her to hold the phone for her. It was funny. So we had a lot of fun doing those little activities. There was a bunch of other stuff. Like I said, archery in the orchard. Like they just literally had these things set up all over the place. People could just go and try medieval archery. They served food that was like traditional and straight out of the game, like smoked pretzels with like, this is a smoked pretzel with cheese and then pickled veggies. And when they said cheese, I thought maybe they like sprinkle some cheese on it. Dude, I am not kidding. They sliced off a solid inch of Munster and plopped that right down on top of the pretzel and then put it in like the smoker or whatever, and it melted on top. It was crazy. I was like, bro, you guys go hard. When you say cheese, you mean cheese. It was baller. And quite good, honestly, quite good. Tried some of the schnapps, which were delicious. Tried a bunch of stuff. This was the concert at the end of the night. So, I mean, you can see this is after a bunch of people have left because it started getting dark and pretty cold. And you can just see like all of these people are there to celebrate a video game that was considered pretty niche. Like this is not Call of Duty, you know, like it's a pretty niche medieval sim game basically. And yet they have all these people in the middle of nowhere. A good number of the people we met were from England. There were people from Germany. There were people from Spain that had flown out specifically for this event to celebrate the game, which is crazy. It was absolutely crazy. Yeah, they of course performed some music, and they had an entire like little orchestra and singers and everything. It was pretty ridiculous. They had fire dancer people as well, which was a little insane. At one point, watch this guy. Just watch this guy. This is how they finished out the night. It was a little insane. Just watch what happens, okay? He's got like this double-barreled thing, and then he's just gonna send it. And he's just standing in the middle of it, dude. It's pretty badass. I felt like it was the start to like a Soulsborne boss fight, you know? It was pretty cool. It was pretty cool. I was like, that's pretty baller, dude. And like it was one of those things where the fireball goes up and you just feel the heat. It was pretty crazy. It was pretty crazy. But we did a bunch of stuff. After that, the next day we went and explored the city, which is important because if there is a KCD 3, I think it almost certainly has to happen in Prague. Like, I don't know where else you go. I think you go to Prague and you explore like the Hussite Wars, which this is actually Jan Hus. There's a statue in the square of him. But I think you have to go to Prague. I don't know where else you go. I don't know what else you do. That just seems to make the most sense as far as I can tell, especially because it's sort of like the omnipresent thing that is always under consideration in the world of KCD that is sort of looming on the horizon. This was also one of the funny things. So they have all these really old buildings, beautiful murals on top that are like original, at least in design. Of course, they've been restored and stuff. But then the first floor, they'll have all sorts of stuff. Like this is a bright neon like Thai massage parlor with all sorts of neon lights and strobe lights and stuff. But above it is this beautiful medieval mural. It was just kind of funny. It's like, oh yeah, a little, I guess, a different time. Also, Starbucks is there all over the place. They have tons of Starbucks locations all over, which I just thought was funny. Being an American, we always joke that Starbucks is everywhere on like every street corner, and it was also there as well. We toured a bunch of other places and spots. We got to look inside the sort of town hall where they had some beautiful murals and things. And I think there's a very strong likelihood that if there is a third game, all of this will be represented in the final game, because I don't know how else you would do it. One of the other fun little details, they took us underground. There's Luality again. They took us underground and explored like these areas of the house went back to like the 11th century. I think he said the 12th or 11th century. Very, very old. Again, nothing like that is in the US. It's ridiculous to think about how old that is. But at one point he took us into the kitchen and showed us this. And he's like, yeah, so this is just the kitchen. He's like, but do you notice anything about the cement and the mortar and stuff here? And if you look close, there's like all these little bones. And I didn't realize this, but he explained to us that when they were building a lot of these locations back in like the 11th, 12th centuries, they had this sort of superstitious belief that if you use the bones or put the bones of animals in your houses, the spirit of those animals would then come and protect your house and household against evil spirits, because animals were seen as sort of protectors, especially dogs, and specifically dogs. So families would like have their dogs. They would die, they'd bury them, and then when they went to build something, they would take their bones and put it into the concrete and mortar and stuff of the house in order to let the dog spirit protect the house. So as you're looking around this beautiful structure, you're like, oh my God, like, is that a dog's clavicle? And it is. It was like a very interesting little thing. At the end of the tour, they even took us in here, and this mural is gorgeous. It's like, again, centuries and centuries old. But I asked the tour guide, I was like, what was this damaged or destroyed in World War II? Because a lot of what we saw was heavily damaged in World War II in the bombings. And he was like, yeah, actually, when the Germans came through, they didn't like countries having a sense of national pride once the Germans came in. So they required them to destroy this. So they told the people that were in charge of this town hall, you have to get rid of those murals that depict these like stories of Czech pride, basically. And so what they did is they just coated the entire thing in white plaster to make it look like they got rid of it and just made it white, clear plaster or plain plaster. But then after the war, they went and they just scraped it back off, and they had preserved, actually much better than it would have otherwise been, the original murals and everything. So they actually saved it, which is kind of cool. Kind of cool that they were like, yeah, we're just going to get out ahead of this. We're not going to risk it. But seriously, it's one of those cities, everywhere you look is just beautiful. Like there really is not an ugly spot in the city. It's kind of insane. It's just gorgeous. Like the cathedral off in the distance, all of this, it was just unbelievable. It really, really was. And it got me really excited at the prospect of what the next game could be. But realistically, if they do a KCD 3, I don't know if it's going to be with Henry or a new character, but it's going to be huge. Like Prague is on another level to anything in any of the games so far. It would be a massive undertaking, and I'm sure they could do it now, but if you want that level of complexity that we know from KCD, but you want to set the story in Prague, it's gonna be a whole other thing, because the city is massive and the scale of like the architecture and everything is just up another notch. If you've been playing the DLC, by the way, you might also recognize this. This is the astronomical whatever clock that is out here, and these things were real. and they're crazy complicated and very, very beautiful. It's just wild to see it in person. Little bird comes out, but it's just crazy. I wouldn't even pretend to know how this thing works or how to get that going, but it's crazy. It's crazy. The cathedral also is gorgeous. I think there's a lot of interesting things they could do, not just exploring the royal family and the palace in general, but also just exploring, if you were to do Henry again, exploring how he navigates a much bigger, more large scale environment. Like that's very wealthy, that is not as rural, I guess you could say. Rural. This also, I don't know why this triggers me, but these windows being crooked, it really messes with my OCD. I'm sorry. It just looks like the game glitched. You know, especially this is so beautiful and symmetrical everywhere you look. It's just amazing. But then these windows trigger the hell out of me. I don't know why. Like, but they just look wrong, you know? It was just, and even up here, they're like angled a little differently. And honestly, I'm sure this is harder to make than a regular symmetrical, like perpendicular to the columns window. I'm sure this is like involves more craftsmanship. It just breaks my brain. But yeah, we went around the city. We explored a bunch. We went inside the church and, or cathedral, and looked around. And dude, Luality is very, very funny, especially because like she's on stream, and I'm gonna show you a picture. She comes across this. She goes, "Chat, who is that? Oh, is that supposed to be Jesus?" I'm like, Lua, it's a man with a crown of thorns on a cross, with a golden circle around an incision on his side. Yes, it's Jesus. It's just so funny. And there are a bunch of little things like that. She is a hoot, dude. She is a hoot. It was very, very fun. What else? Oh yeah, the stained glass, dude. Whenever people are like, oh, I like modern architecture, you just pause and look at this stuff. Like, come on. I love TV screens. I love Art Deco stuff. It's cool. But I mean, come on. This is gorgeous. It just tickles a part of your brain that you didn't even know you had. It's just ridiculously impressive. This, in this case, I'm sure a lot of this stuff had to be redone after World War II because a lot of it was torn apart. But oh yeah, this is a moment on the stream. We're walking around. We explored with Mike from Play On, who also had the day to just explore. And we're like, yeah, absolutely, Mike, come with us. Like, and Mike is an awesome dude, really, really cool guy. And he also has a history in the industry going back to like, I don't even know how far, but like, I think he was talking about stuff from the 80s and 90s. Like he has a Sega collection going back farther than you can imagine. Like a genuinely really, really cool guy that's been involved with gaming for longer than I've been alive. Like he knows his stuff, and it was really cool to get to explore the city with him and Lua. It was really, really cool. Like, look at this, dude. Look at this. This is the palace grounds exist, and that's what all this is. Like, these are all palace grounds, and then the cathedral is inside the palace grounds, so you get to kind of kill two birds with one stone and explore both at the same time, which is cool. It's just huge and gorgeous, and I'm glad we explored. But it got me thinking, like, where did they take the series? Where did they take the franchise after this? And I asked some people, I asked other fans, I was like, where do you think they go? The obvious answer is Prague. Like, you go to the bigger city, right? That's the obvious guess. But that might be too obvious, you know? Like, if everybody's expecting that, do they really want to do that again? Like, do they want to subvert expectations and surprise you? Or do they want to just do what you expect? I'm not sure. And here's where I'm at. As somebody that thinks KCD 2 is a masterpiece, I mean, I freaking adore that game. I'm up for whatever. Like, if they want to go and if they want to do KCD 3 and it's just KCD 2, but with some dials cranked up, a little bit bigger, set in Prague, I'm down. I'll have a great time and I will love it. But if they wanted to shake it up, I'd be all for it. Whether that is like a pirate game built with KCD tools and complexity and dynamics, that really excites me. I love the idea of that. If they want to do like the full CDPR pivot and go like sci-fi or something, or dystopian, whatever, I'd be there for that. I'd be down for that. If they want to fast forward and they want to do a game set in like World War II or something, I'd be down for that. Like I am up for whatever, to be clear. I'm just excited to see what they've got to bring to the table. But I got the vibe, okay? I got the vibe that they're hungry. And I actually heard from, I think, 4 different people that I can think of off the top of my head that each said, we/they are hungry. Whether they were devs or people that worked with the devs in some capacity, that said Warhorse wants to show that this is not a one-off, that KCD2 was not like a lucky break, that they actually are that good and they know what they're doing. And that makes me think that they're going to try something really bold and crazy. You know, gets me excited. Gets me really excited. So my gut, which could be wrong, my gut is telling me that they're going to take like a little break from KCD as a franchise, and they're going to do something different. Something exciting that's going to challenge their team a little bit in a different way, that's a little fresh and novel. And I'm here for it, because any way that they can take it up a notch, I'll be there for. You know, I'm excited by that. Oh yeah, the city at night is just ridiculous, dude. Let me show you. We went to a restaurant, and you can go to the rooftop bar, and it's just the city at night is also gorgeous. Like, again, no matter where you look, it's just beautiful everywhere. And can you imagine this city but only lit by torches? How cool would that be to explore in a game, dude? It'd be so cool. It'd be so cool. Very different though than KCD, because KCD 2 has like a lot, of course, of like forest lands and a lot of fields and things, a lot of wide open spaces and vistas. I think if you set the game in Prague, the city has to be so massive for it to feel real that it would just be a different kind of animal, you know? But I'm here for it. I'd be very interested in it. So I'm not sure what's next, but I after talking to a lot of people, I got the impression that they want to do something big, bold, and potentially different and exciting and thrilling and weird and crazy. So they might just do KCD 2.5, but I'm thinking that they do something bolder. That's my guess. The city was smaller back then. No, I mean, obviously it grew a lot over the last centuries. But still, it's supposed to be like the hub of Bohemia. It's supposed to be massive. So it has to be significantly bigger than Kuttenberg, which already was a big in-game city. So it's going to be tricky nonetheless, but I think we all would be there for it. Yeah, it was really, really just interesting and a crazy cool experience. But I think one of the other things I realized going back to this, I don't think there is another sort of niche single player game like this that I can think of that would be able to go have an event in the middle of nowhere and get 2,500 people to come for a one-day event. Like to the extent where they're dressing up, people are flying in from out of country, like for this one-day event celebrating the game's success. But that's how devoted the community and fan base is. That's how much people love it. Witcher, I mean, I would say Witcher at this point is broken into mass market mainstream appeal because it's phenomenal. And I think maybe KCD 2 also has, and I just didn't realize it. But I think clearly it's had an impact. Actually going back to, it's the real nerds right there. Going back to, I closed it. The tour guide, when we toured the city hall, we asked him, have you heard of KCD? He's like a historian working as a tour guide in this like kind of tourist trap place. He's like, oh yeah, I've played KCD 1 and 2. I love those games. I love seeing the historical locations, getting to explore them. He's like, as a history nerd, I love it. It's like, even the tour guide is a huge like KCD fan. It's a point of national pride for sure. But I think what I realized was that KCD, the impact it's had on its community is much bigger than and I think a lot of other people had expected. The people that love KCD really love KCD. And that tells me if they want to go crazy, if they want to do something wild and new and fresh, they can do it, and the community will be there for it because they've earned it. They've built it up. You know, it's really, really impressive what they've managed to pull off. I'm glad KCD 2 has done so well. Yeah, well, and it was a well-managed game in terms of like, or from a production standpoint. So it was not ridiculously expensive. They didn't spend $400 million on it. It was something where they actually were able to keep the budget pretty much in check and turn a hefty profit, which is really good to see. I mean, it's really, really good to see. And after the success of KCD 2, I'm sure that whatever resources or money they need for the next project, they're going to get it. So I think that was also one of the really jarring things, was just how big the community was and how devoted they were and willing to go out of their way to come and celebrate the game, which is pretty crazy. It's pretty interesting. But like I said at the top, I think we see something sooner rather than later. I don't think we're going to be waiting 6 years or 5 years to see what's next. I think that they are hard at work, and it's just a matter of time before we start to hear rumblings of what's next. So I'm here for it. Kartoffel, good to see you, my friend. They earned their place as one of the most trusted developers in the industry. Yeah, well, and it's one thing Sartobi says a lot, Satobi, is that they are community first. Like, that's the whole point. Everything is community first. So they listen to the community feedback on what they want, what they don't want, what they like, what they don't like, and they try to let that inform everything they do. And pretty clearly that has worked, and it's making an impact and a difference. And I think that that's what's also really refreshing, is also a company that is not this like weird hoity-toity, like, I don't even know how to describe it, but I think maybe the anti-Warhorse right now would be like BGS. Like, BGS will not talk to their community beyond mentioning like paid mod updates for months upon months upon months. Like, again, the last time they really communicated anything clearly about Starfield directly was going on 8 months ago. I think it was like February-ish when they said we will have more to share soon. So you could even argue that that's not clearly communicating anything. The last time they really talked about it was just about a year ago with the first expansion. And since then, they've just been kind of quiet. There's been a couple of other things where they say, we're really excited for people to see what we're working on next. But that's it. There's very little communication with the community. And then you compare it to like Warhorse, and they're hosting a festival for people, and they're going and trying to talk to fans and get their ideas and figure out what they want, what they don't want. It's just refreshing. It's very, very, very different. Also, you see that reflected in the pricing. A huge 30-hour DLC like Legacy of the Forge only costing under $15 is insane. How much was Shattered Space again? I think Shattered Space was also 30. I think it was 30. I don't think it was 40. I think it was 30. And it had all of like 5 hours of content, you know? So I just think that there's that difference between complacency and hunger. And I think what the devs said, and some other people that work with the devs reiterated it, they're hungry. They want to grow and climb and prove to everybody that they are this good and they deserve to be in those top tier considerations of developers. And they're going to do what they need to do to prove it. And on the flip side, you see some of these other studios and developers, and they're just totally fine with being exactly what they have been for the last decade. And that's why this is refreshing. It's exciting and different and fun. Really crazy experience. Thank you again to Warhorse and PlayOn for making it happen, and an amazing community. It's great to be a part of it. KCD 2 rocks, and the new DLC, honestly, I'm pretty impressed by it. It tickles part of my brain that I thought was there, but that wasn't really tickled in the base game, which is a way to spend massive amounts of money on tangible upgrades that change the gameplay experience. And if anything, I think the best way to enjoy the new DLC is probably with a fresh playthrough, at least from Gutenberg on, because it will totally change how you go about like your day-to-day activities in the game. So it's definitely worth checking out if you're interested in. He took my thing.